Welcome to Old Guy Tech,
the OGT.TV recording studio.
Technology for the rest of us.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Rob Charney. He's John Manajastic. Welcome to Opinion versus Opinion on News 44 TV. And here we are again on a wonderful, warm Wednesday. And I went for a very nice motorcycle ride this morning. It was cool, cold, kind of in a few spots. I loved it. Had a great hour of trying to figure out what the meaning of life is all about. And so that worked out really well.
All depends on which of your spots was cold and which of your spots was cool.
Well, my arms, because I wore just my vest and short sleeve shirt. And so it was a little, but it was wonderful. Wonderful. So we can talk about that bike riding at another time. I have an interesting lead-in the Sacramento news, and we know that our viewers said they were kind of interested in California news. So I have one item that I just got hot off the press here, and then I know John's got something. You're going to like this one. This comes from the local NBC affiliate here in Sacramento. KCRA. It reads, bed bugs are on the rise in some areas of the country, not previously prone to outbreaks. Sacramento, you're going to like this. Sacramento topped the list of cities with the highest increase in bed bug infestations so far this year, according to the pest company Terminix. So guess what, Sacramento? I don't know what you guys are doing, but you got the most amount of bed bugs.
Too bad it's all under the Capitol Dome.
Oh, okay. Our producer said it's all under the Capitol Dome. Some of that may be true.
Are some of them insects getting out of there or what?
I don't know.
They should be voting. They shouldn't be bugging.
Boy, I tell you. So Sacramento, how do you like that? Rates number one in the country for bed bugs.
I did notice. I did notice because of the family orientation of Sacramento, and gosh, if you don't live in the Sacramento area, you need to go spend some time there because it's different.
Yeah.
But I noticed that Sleep Train was a huge radio and television net. Beds are big in Sacramento.
Absolutely. Maybe that's the reason why, because they know that you got to get rid of that bed. I don't trust.
Hey, if you're gonna bug somebody, you got to be in bed.
Of course, what used to be Arco Arena and then Power Balance is now, of course, Sleep Train Auditorium or Studio or whatever they call the arena. Excuse me, Sleep Train
and
Arena.
They're still trying to find somebody to buy the Kings, and you're going to build a new stadium. And
well, the Kings are staying for sure.
Because the NBA won't let them go.
Well, that's true. And there's a whale, I forget his name right at the moment, that has put up the money. And yeah, they're working on an arena deal. Now, if the voters in Sacramento are dumb enough to vote themselves in a bond issue, which is going to tax them.
They did once already.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on, guys.
But that one's no good? That belongs to the Maloofs? The Maloofs leave, put their tail between their legs and go back to Vegas, and they get the deal?
They're out of it. They're gone. However, my question was, and I have not followed up to try to get the answer, is if I'm not mistaken, they had a multi-million-dollar loan from the city of Sacramento, and whatever happened to that? You don't hear anything about that. I don't know. I don't know where that went.
I don't know.
So
$6,000 bottle of wine with a hamburger. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, so somehow they're going to try to figure this out. Well, it's a 10-year plan thing, I'm sure. So.
And there's so much graft and corruption, so many hands in it in Sacramento.
I don't know. It goes along with the bed bugs, I guess.
And the harness racing.
and the harness racing. That's right. Jeez.
It's there forever. In spite of me, it's still there.
Yeah.
Back in May, I think, something. No, I don't know.
Whole different group, though, right?
Yeah, kind of so.
Yeah, that's what I understood.
Still, our friend is still involved.
Oh, okay. Good. All right, so let me ask you. Up next, you had. Let's talk about the inmates that have decided not to eat.
Inmates are now. This seems to be This seems to be the activity du jour in prison. As you know, we're doing this at Guantanamo.
Right.
And as you've heard in the news, women have been, 150 women over some period of time were sterilized. I think voluntarily, can't be totally involuntarily, in California. Almost 30,000 California prisoners are in their second day of a hunger strike Tuesday, protesting prison conditions and infinite solitary confinement, far more than took part in a similar strike 2 years ago. Relatives of some of the inmates who comprise almost a quarter of the state's 120,000 prisoners, that's state prisoners, not federal prisoners, said in a video posted on a website supporting the strike, and they're out of options to end the infinite solitary confinement for inmates with ties to prison gangs, which they call state-sanctioned torture. Okay. The last time I was able to touch my brother was 1982. Mary Levin, who says her brother has been in solitary confinement for 29 years, says in a video which was posted by Prisoner Hunger Strike Solidarity, a coalition of prisoner rights activist groups. There's some core group of us who are committed to taking this all the way to death, if necessary. Todd Ansker, an inmate at Pelican Bay State Prison in Crescent Bay, says in the video, "None of us want to do this, but we feel we have no other options. So far, they have no reports. There have been no reports of violence. Protests began in 2012 at maximum security." So basically, they don't want mandatory solitary confinement, which is 22 hours a day in a cell and 2 hours in the dog run, and then another 22 hours in the cell.
If they're at Pelican Bay, they're are the worst of the worst. Yeah, literally the worst of the worst. So I'm sorry, boys. You know, I understand your predicament. Thank you for saving us some money and food, but there's a reason why you're there.
And it's kind of complaining that prison is hell.
Yeah.
Well, if you wouldn't have committed a crime against society, you probably wouldn't be there.
Exactly.
And it was probably pretty heinous if you were in the solitary confinement wing of Pelican Bay. You've done something pretty antisocial somewhere along the way.
You have not played nice. You have not played nice, and you are probably where you need to be. Follow the rules, and you probably wouldn't have been in prison in the first place, so you are obviously not a rule follower anyway.
Something tells me you're probably right about that, Rob.
So interesting enough, under California realignments for prisons, and I think some of you may be aware of the fact that there was a judge that stated the fact that the prisons in California were overpopulated and that they needed to reduce the number of inmates in state penitentiaries, and the immediate fix for that was to send a number of inmates to local jails, such as ours here in El Dorado County and many other areas that normally would be going to a state prison, are now going to a local jail to serve terms as long as 10 and 11 years, which has caused local jails to have some major problems of being able to find places to put the people that they need to put in that are serving lesser crimes.
Yeah, that are only intended to serve at maximum 1 year.
Yes, that was the intention.
County jail.
You're right. Yeah, so generally a county jail was there so that you'd spend your time, do your hearing, get your prelim, and get a court date, and then be sentenced. And normally, if it was a crime more than a year, you were sentenced to state prison. If it was less, you stayed in the jail. Well, so now the jails have a problem, because now they're getting all these guys from state prisons. And as the sheriff so eloquently said it this afternoon, his problem is that he can't mix a lot of these guys together. If they're of one gang group and another gang group, you can't put them together. If they're Aryan Brotherhood and they're black, you can't put them together. If they're whatever, you can't put them together. And he says, although I may have 70 empty beds, the reality is I only have 15 that I can put anybody in. So it has definitely caused a problem. And in his opinion, what needs to be done, and it was said many years ago when the prison building came to a screeching halt, is that we can't build our way out of this. And he begs to differ. He says, oh no, we're going to need to spend our way out of this because it's the only way we're going to be able to fulfill the court mandate and not overcrowd jails, prisons. So interesting. So every one of you live in whatever county you live in, if you have a jail in your county, and most do except for some of the very, very rural counties, Tehama counties, some of the other ones up in further northern Humboldt, and that, they actually contract out with other counties such as El Dorado County to house the prisoners. So it's going to become a very, very serious issue. Governor Brown has actually taken it, has challenged it. Is going to challenge it in court, and is going to move it up all the way up to the Ninth Circuit if he has to get this overturned and to once again start the building process and actually have places to put these people. There you go.
There you go.
There's the news in a nutshell for you.
It is, you know, that I have intimate experience with this when teaching in a facility, and
right.
was chastised for not segregating the gang members.
Correct.
And I didn't know who. And part of the issue is that the gang issue is micro. It's not only ethnic. In other words, you separate, let's say, the African American gangs from the Hispanic gangs, from the Anglo gangs, and okay, you separated the ethnic gangs. Now there are conflicts within each one of the ethnic gangs,
right,
amongst the ethnic gangs.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, Rob, I've got to ask you, who's running the institution?
Yeah,
the guards or the inmates?
Well,
because it appears the inmates are winning out, and their functionalities, the gangs dominate, and they can't do anything. They can't do anything to regulate against their gangs and the inner gang violence.
Well, one of the things that Sheriff DeAugustini said, that he's got an officer who spends his full time, actually full time, doing nothing but going through the paperwork and making sure that they don't intermix the wrong groups together. 2 full-time positions just to make sure that you don't get 2 competing gangs or 2 whatever together that are not supposed to be together, to try to keep from being sued. That's what it's all about. So, in your situation, it's if they don't tell you what you need to do, how are you supposed to know what you're supposed to do?
I don't know.
Yeah. See.
And therein, and in a very short-term exposure for myself, you find out that this is an entire culture of its own, over cultures within cultures,
right?
And these are hierarchy, human control systems.
Right.
I mean, these people are then these people, then these people, then these people. And the biggest thing in prison, in that environment, is respect. But what that word means in there and that word means out of there are 2 entirely different things.
Right.
And as you well know, I don't know. I mean, because the gangs are ubiquitous. They're in the prisons. They are in the streets. They are there, and when this becomes a problem to deal with the gangs within, quote unquote, their society, you have to look at that, as I've been forced to, and go, how about in society?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's people move to rural areas and they make the mistake of saying, oh, hey, I'm going to go move to an area where there isn't a gang. I don't believe there is an area anywhere, in particular in California, that there aren't gangs of some type, one way or another. Even in the little Placerville area where we're at, there's a number of gang situations here. And so, yeah, they're in society, they're in jail, they're everywhere.
It is something, and the last show that I did with you, we ended up on this, that we've got to deal with, because it underscores that one of the things that we're failing at as a society is at family.
Right.
Because we're seeking alternative family solutions that certainly don't have the same dynamic or impact as, quote unquote, the family would have.
Right. Yeah. No, it's pretty ugly out there, I'll tell you. It's pretty ugly in there. So here we have these inmates that are decided to go on a hunger strike. And, of course, the reality is for those poor guys is that doesn't hurt anybody but themselves. If they don't want to eat, they don't want to eat,
That's about the only tool they have left to them.
Yeah, and that's fine. And all
don't.
it'll take is a judge to make a statement saying, fine, we'll force feed them.
Yeah, but the same.
That has happened.
It's happening at Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
But the issue of it is the reason why you have while they'll go on is that rather than prison being an institution, and God, I was listening at Sweden or somewhere. God, if you go to prison, you want to go to prison there, but
yes,
they're trying
yes.
to make people that committed criminal acts no longer criminal. But when you have a small population, it's even smaller portion. Got to remember, folks, that U.S. incarcerates more of its population, a higher percentage of the population than any other country.
Right.
So, on Earth. So we have that. I mean, that's a real problem. That we have a crime problem and we have a prison problem. But to put them back on the counties is insane.
Yeah.
Because your sheriff, my sheriff, no sheriff has the money and the personnel nor facility to deal with people that should be housed and dealt with on a state level.
Yeah.
To be, it's kind of like the kids are moving home and having kids at grandma and grandpa's house.
Yeah.
It does have a mirror quality to society on a whole.
Yeah,
it does. We're not moving them out.
It's
a permanent population.
It is not a good solution, and we're going to see this continue. And like I said, the governor's fighting it as well as every sheriff out of the 52 counties I believe California has as well. So they're all fighting that issue. So so prisoners, you don't want to eat. As far as I'm concerned, don't eat. That's fine with me.
Bugger off. Don't eat, mate.
Yeah, don't eat. So, let's stay a little lighthearted, and then we'll move into some really heavy stuff. We got ourselves seven visitors. So maybe one of them would like to call in at 530-621-1210. 530-621-1210. Call in. Come on, we want to hear from you. Actually, we had 2 callers last week that you missed, John, and it worked out really well.
Hey, because I wasn't there.
Maybe I don't. They felt sorry for me because I was just sitting here talking to myself. But
flailing in the breeze.
Yeah, how about that? So hey, you know what? We got Sarah Palin is back in the news. Can you believe that?
Yes, she is.
Yeah, you know what?
She's a consultant for Fox. She was fired and hired.
And she is talking about running as a senator.
Is that against Murkowski or the other set?
Let's see if I see who she's running. Who's ever up the first? I'm not sure. I think there'll be a lot of us.
Murkowski was 2008.
First
so
tries.
she's got to be. She should have come up for re-election already.
Yeah, well, she must be
Murkowski run in the 12 election.
Oh, it's Senator Mark. How do you pronounce his last name? Begich.
Oh, Begich.
Okay.
He's a crook.
He was the Bridge to Nowhere guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Good for Sarah. I just hope that if she runs for the job and gets elected, that she serves a full 6-year term as a senator, because she didn't serve a full term as governor. These seem to be... I can't take the woman seriously, and I know that there are some people watching that probably think she is angelical. I can't. I would have liked to, if she's only running for opportunity, which has been at least the observable pattern of Sarah Palin, it's going to cost it's going to cost Alaska a lot of money in elections and re-elections and stuff if she doesn't serve it out. Here in Kern County where I live, we had an election for a state senator, and then he quit to become a lobbyist because he was going after Chevron. So Chevron hired him. And now we are having our second special election because the Hispanic female running and the conservative Anglo running are so close that in the last election it was a dead heat. So we're having to run another special election. Folks, as much as we need term limits, we also need people after we spend money, they spend money, they do whatever they do to serve out the term they were elected to unless they die.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're wasting money. I mean, in New Jersey, they're having, Chris Christie does not want to have the replacement senatorial election on top of his gubernatorial election in case something happens, but it's costing New Jersey amounts of money to run special elections.
Yeah, millions of dollars.
And folks, if it's not already obvious to you, everything that we're doing, even, those that think that, I pray to the altar of Obama before I go to bed at night, which I do not. We've moved, part of the ACA has been moved a year because it would cause some consternation in business in the 2014 midterm election if we were to have a big consternation over the ACA. These folks are doing things. I don't know how they think they're basically hiding it from us. They're pushing things down the road. They're avoiding political confrontation to have elections. And once we elect them, see what happens.
Yeah, well, it's. Might
I mention?
This guy that you just talked about, he just probably got a huge jump in pay and just couldn't help himself and had to leave. And that does happen, and it has been happening for years.
But at the same time, I suggest to you, Rob, that when our best and brightest contributed to public service, they oftentimes, whilst in public service, forgave pay advantages that they could have had and did what the job they were elected to do.
It's a love of public service, and that's what they wanted when they ran. And you're right; they should fulfill their term. It's no different than a judge leaving a term in midterm for whatever reason, a sheriff doing it. I mean, we see it all the time in some of the civil service positions that are electable, where they've maxed out their cap as far as what they're going to get. So if they continue to work, there's no advantage. They're not getting any more money. They're going to make the same amount of money by not working, so why work? And we see a lot of that.
Well, but why not do the right thing? You know what I mean?
Well,
if you signed on to be a public servant, let's ride. We didn't figure you did it for the money.
We'll hope not.
Well,
But what other entity is able to vote themselves in their own raises?
Few.
Yeah, and so we have a situation, same situation in the federal level, where they're able to vote themselves their raises. They're able to give themselves medical care that you and I can't get. They're willing to milk the system for as much as they can possibly get, and then when they've got what they got, they get.
So long, and thanks for all the fish. They'll pay me more money over here. I'm going to go there now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it's everyday life.
But again, it is a change in society's morals or goals and objectives that, being a good public servant and making sure that people are looked out for and looked after for in the political process. Not so much anymore.
Yeah. No,
We
it's...
don't so much, we keep voting, but we have fewer and fewer seats at the table.
One of the things, there's a couple of things that really bug me about California's legislature, and I'm not sure that how this changed or why, but we used to be a part-time legislation, right? They didn't serve 365 days. They had a legislative
Nor did they get paid.
and nor did they get paid, or in the beginning of them they did get a stipend, whatever it may be. And then there's another issue. It's almost like they've got to write laws to write laws. It's almost like publish or perish in many academic achievements.
And that's allowed
right?
for the development of ALEC. People that write laws
Right.
and then say, well, we've already got a law here. Why don't you just go ahead and pass it?
And here lies the problem. And I've posed this question to both our district attorney and one of our public defenders here in the county, and I've said, how in the world can you keep track of all the laws that are passed every year? Because they're literally, you may have 1,000 bills and pass 800 of them in a year, and how, which one, one repeals another one adds this onto it, and it just gets so convoluted. I told my state senator, I told her that I said, if I was you, I'd write a bill that says for every bill passed, 2 must be taken off the books.
Yeah, but that would make far too much sense.
Well, way too much sense. No, and I'm tired of these people writing these laws, touchy-feely, goody laws for themselves to stand up and say, "Hey, look what I did. I'm Mr. Good Guy," and I passed this law for you to protect you. Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
No.
You passed that law for some interest. So it's just like somebody on the local ordinance and licensing level, those are unfortunately used as non-competition laws. Well, we don't want a bunch of amateurs doing that around here.
Oh, heaven forbid.
So we'll require licensing, and then the guy that was protected, then 3 generations down the road, the grandson goes, well, why do we have this obscene law? Oh, it was my grandfather that did that. We have abused democracy to the point where its credibility with many is extremely low. And I am, because democracy doesn't appear to work, that the democratic process with 2 houses and checks and balances proves itself daily to be invalid.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. It's not working. People are not allowing it to work. I mean, we need to do more things by democracy than by any other means, and we come up with ridiculous ways of solving problems any longer that aren't relevant to the problem, or they're only relevant to the people that are defined as the problem that want resolution of the problem. They have enough money, they have enough contacts, they get it their way, and that's the way it is.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all special interest, almost completely special interest driven by whatever shape, form, whatever it is that you look at. And it's gotten to a point where you can't keep up with what's going on. And that's, again, my point about all these bills that right now, our state Senate and our Assembly, right now they're coming close to the end of the session. They have 1 more month to go, and they're starting to run all these bills through appropriations right now, and they're just jamming them through as fast as they can.
Oh, yeah.
And because we have an uncheck of balances, shall we say, in there, what's all Democratic controlled, and if they all vote party line, there is no check and balance on this at all. It's just being, passed. And some of this stuff is just horrendous. That's just automatically passed. So, who do we hope that has the enough wisdom to see through this? Of course, is our governor. And love him or hate him, Jerry Brown is a very brilliant man. And boy, I am sure hoping in some of the things that I know it's going to affect me that are coming down the road, that maybe he sees the stupidity in some of this stuff.
the Brown brand in California, as you know, how many $100 million did that woman spend to try and beat Jerry Brown?
Right.
And I went, no, not in California.
Yeah.
Jerry's 74 years old.
Right.
He's an extremely bright guy. And I don't think Jerry has any ulterior motive other than to do what Jerry Brown, with a native Californian, I think a California patriot, he has nothing that, I don't think he has any desire to do anything to further hurt or damage the state.
Yeah.
Now, you may not agree with his vision, but he will be true to his vision of what he believes California needs to have done for it. And you know what? The crazy thing about Brown, his constituency doesn't seem to care.
Mm-hmm.
They believe that Jerry's probably doing the right thing. Governor Moonbeam, call him whatever you want him to call him, but he is a Jesuit. He's a graduate of Santa Clara. He's a unique kind of guy, and I think at this point in time, we're kind of fortunate to have him as a governor. He doesn't. There's no grandstanding with Jerry. He's frugal.
Absolutely.
He lives what he says. You got to take him at his face.
Yeah, you do. And I'm truly hoping. I'm hoping that on some of the bills that I am, and you're aware of the fact that there's some 27 right now moving through, up to almost 40, some anti-gun legislation that's going through. That's just totally ridiculous.
But you know what? Part of the problem is that I find too is that when you talk about the ALEC power that the conservatives in the United States, the money conservatives, very wisely said, we don't have to win on a federal level. We can win on the state level and be as twice as 3 times more effective as we could ever be with less money, and these people are going to mature to be federal policy, and that's a whole nother conversation here.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem is that your gun issue, the gun activist has realized that if they want to, that they can accomplish something on the state level,
that they can't, that would never get on the federal level.
But again, the problem, it's kind of like medical marijuana. So what? I mean, federal law trumps it, and do what you want. To a certain extent, it just makes it difficult since you are an instructor and you are actively involved in firearm activities, legal, sporting ones. It's going to cause you undue hassle.
It's some of them. I'll take just one. Just give an example of one. They're trying to make the purchase of ammunition in the state of California very, very difficult.
It already is.
There isn't any to get, so that's a supply chain problem we have already. But the other problem is what they want to stop internet sales of ammunition. They want ammunition to only be sold across the counter, person to person. When you buy the ammunition, they want you to leave a thumbprint and all your personal information, as well as buy a license that's good every 5 years. So you have to pay a fee. Again, there's always money. Follow the money. You're going to have to get a fee, pay a fee for this license to buy ammunition. And on top of that, you cannot lend or give the ammunition to anyone. That means not your wife, not your son, not your neighbor, nobody. You can't go to a shoot and your buddy, he runs out of ammo. You can't give him a box of ammo during a shoot. Nothing. That's California's wisdom on how to stop the crime issue.
That's useless as most are.
And
I don't if we're out shooting and I run out of ammunition and you got 8 boxes, and you're willing to give me one, it's back to the Tower of Power. It's not the crime; it's whether you get caught.
Well,
if there's somebody there to say, oh, "My God, he gave him a box of ammo."
Well, we'll see what Jerry.
Right now would be a good Christmas.
It's a great
Day or birthday present.
It's a good investment. Buy ammo. If you can get ammunition, buy it now. But anyway,
noticed that just on that everybody I know that has weapons is like, dude, man, ammunition's like impossible to get.
Yeah. And
also noticed that my local Big Five store no longer deals in Ruger.
Oh, really?
The name in general. which was something that was always on their sales sheet. I don't know if Ruger's doing so well, it wants to more upscale its outlets, but you can buy a Ruger 1022 or
right.
44.
Well,
let's not talk handguns.
So what we got a situation with the 1022s. What you're seeing is one of the other bills is the anti-magazine bill. One of the, I think it's Yee's trying to pass through a situation that any firearm any long gun that has a removable magazine will be illegal.
Well, that was stupid.
Yeah, but there you go. So we're gonna get to see what Governor Brown does with that one. I mean,
now at the same time, the 100-shot magazine for a 1044 was
the 1022. Oh, 1044. Yeah. Well,
Well, 1044 doesn't have
no.
Nice.
Yeah. No.
But that was like a Thompson machine gun slid into the bottom of the 22. But they could put out lead all day long from 100. But it's a 10-shot magazine.
Well, yeah, the one that comes with the gun is a 10-shot, and then that's that's the other thing. There, no high capacity magazines in California. The largest magazine that you can have, of course, is a 10-round magazine. And one of my pet peeves: next time you watch a cop show or something, the next idiot that says, "Give me a clip," or "I need a clip of ammo," or "He had a clip of ammo," change the channel, because the friggin' writers, whoever they're listening to, doesn't understand the difference between a clip and a magazine. I can instantly tell a show that has an advisor that knows what they're doing just by the verbiage.
And a clip is?
Well, a clip is what we initially used back in the late 1800s into 1900s. What it was it's a piece of metal, basically a strip, and that they were called stripper clips. And what you had is you had your ammunition. It was a rimmed cartridge, so you would have it on this piece of metal in a strip. You would open up the action, and you would literally push the ammunition down into the magazine.
And pull the clip out,
and the clip would go away. But that's not what we have. The modern guns have a magazine. It's a device that holds the ammunition within it that's separate from the gun, and it goes in the magazine. So there's the technical side. And I have a class this Saturday. If any of you need a class for your CCW this Saturday, see me. I need more bodies. It's the only way we're living these days. Still, no callers. 621-1210. My God, come on, out of the 6 of you watching us, give us a call. Anyway, so there are just, we were talking about looking at the legislature and thinking about, these guys, we've got to find a way for them to understand that not every one of them has to write a bill or 2 or 3 or 5 or a dozen every year, because most of the time it doesn't help a damn thing. And we're back to what you and I talked about so many times, is spend your time and energy generating jobs in California, and don't keep passing legislation that's making us lose jobs.
Well, yeah. I mean, and there are arguments on both sides of that. I've made my for and against regulation argument. But yeah, come on, let's do something for the public good, which is not interfere with their firearms. But let's do something that...
Hey, we got a call.
Why don't you go home and ask your constituency about what would you like to see done in the community? Maybe what?
I don't know. Hey, we got a caller. Caller, do you hear us?
Oh my! Hello.
Hello, caller. If you're calling in, you have to make sure you turn your computer speakers off. Caller? Hello? Caller, are you there? And they hung up. Oh.
It was a butt dial.
I was so excited.
I know, you were like over the moon.
Oh, we got a caller.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
The other thing...
And the new phone books came like a week and a half ago.
Oh, yeah. I'm watching Heather said, make sure you watch the social stream, and we're not even getting comments today, so obviously we're not talking about anything anybody gives a damn about.
Well, we're kind of, and I apologize to everyone. I'm a bit low energy. I would like to have been...
Here we go. Call's trying again.
Let's do it again there.
Hello, caller. You're on the phone with Rob and John Manajastic. Hello? Hello, caller.
Hi, it's your daughter. Don't be so excited.
Oh,
Okay.
I
Okay,
actually
it's Heather.
can't hear you over the phone.
you can't. Can you hear me now?
No, but hey, I just wanted to let you know that
Yeah.
you should tell the callers and the viewers your number about Saturday, your CCW class, so
Oh,
they can
okay.
reach your
There you go.
business number.
Yeah, come on.
I can do that, Heather. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Pops.
You bet.
Bye.
So since Heather is my our major producer and teller of You Should Be Doing, if you are interested in a concealed weapons course in the state of California, please call me at 530-363-2833, and I will be able to give you help. And John, next time we're in the area, we'll get you in the class and we'll sign you up too.
Yeah. Because you would want somebody like this to have a concealed.
Yeah, well, hell,
I don't know.
what can I do?
It's a good thing Jonathan doesn't have a mic.
Yeah, I don't know. Jonathan is doing something, but I'm not sure what he's doing. He's busy looking at something. So, one of the things that was always bugging me, and Obama said many, many, many months ago, was with the Syrians and the situation over there, and he had made a statement where that if they had used some form of poison gas against their own people, he said that's crossing the line.
Weapons. The ship sunk. It's over.
I mean, it's like, what,
This man is incapable of. He's got control over the dog.
Yeah, that's about
after
it.
that, and people, compared to what I saw to be my rhetorical alternative, I voted. But we don't have a leadership government. It's far too politicized on all angles. What we're doing with Syria, I mean, the mustard's off the hot dog. Egypt's going to have to find its way. I mean, democracy, it seldom goes smoothly, especially when you have, a religious government structure, government and religion being the same.
Egypt
for some folks, but we don't play it that way here.
Right. Egypt is interesting on itself to see what's going to go there. I wonder if they took delivery of those F-16s yet.
Syria?
No, Egypt.
Oh, sure. I don't know why they wouldn't have. I mean, they've been taking delivery of military support from us for 30, 40 years. They know how to do it.
Well, I think the F-16s was actually the first time that a couple of the senators woke up long enough to go, we're selling what to whom? People that we could possibly face in a conflict at some time, with the Suez Canal and that whole situation over there. And we're giving them our own planes?
We have better pilots.
Well, we have way better pilots, but, let's hope let's hope.
We don't give them the valet key.
Well, there you go. That's what I was going to say. You don't give them the driver's key. You give them the valet key, and they can.
You don't get the whole.
No, you can't.
60%.
You can't open up the glove compartment. I'm sorry. We're not going to let you do that.
No.
It isn't going to happen. You can't do that.
It was such a good idea that night that Richard gave me the key to the glove. Anyway, and you know what I'm talking about.
I do. I do. So. Anyway, so we got that. You're right. You know what? Our the executive branch, literally, and I'm willing to go out on a limb to almost, because I would have to go back and really look at some of the earlier presidents, but I'm willing to say that our current president and our executive branch is probably the most ineffective that we have had in many a decade.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. As long as I sit here with no medical care, and that is the crown jewel of two administrations, and it's.
Yeah, I know.
How do you? Nothing happening. There's nothing happening here.
So
can blame it on the Congress. Can blame it on the filibuster. But the fact of the matter. not much happened.
Nancy Pelosi, of course, we all remember where she stood up and said, we have to pass this bill. We haven't read it, but we have to pass this bill. And then, so the mandate for employers to give insurance has been extended out another year. It won't take effect in 2014. It'll be 2015. So that means they can take parts.
Election, you don't want to stir.
Well, no, it just means that opened up the door for any particular sections of the Obamacare can now be taken by bit and either taken out or changed or altered. I mean, it's just...
I don't even want to go there.
Yeah, well...
We're changing something that never... You know what I mean? I want to know what I have before I change it. I don't want to change it before I know what I have. It's just... I
know. I mean, I think
it is the price that you pay when you do something that you've never done before.
It's the price. That's true, but it's also the price you pay when you don't read something. If you don't get in there and read it.
I read the ACA. The problem with the ACA, just like they should have gone all the way and gone for a single payer and extended Medicare.
Sure.
Because it was the system already exists, it worked pretty well.
Right.
You got a handle around it. You can modify it. Instead, knowing that Romney was coming, he put in Romney Care.
Right.
Doesn't work. And you've already, California, and whether you knew it or not, the connection with Jerry Brown, as we spoke of, the one thing that was the saving grace of the ACA is that Brown would make it happen in California.
Mm-hmm.
We would have led the country on implementation of the medical care plan. It's not happening. We had that test run where you could find out how much it was going to cost for you. And the problem of it is I'm critical of anything that I don't have.
Right.
And it was all politically planned. Well, and this is the issue, that is the government, and is a problem with the Obama administration, is that you have a speaker that is equally as ineffective as the president.
True.
And you have a majority leader in the Senate that it's equally as ineffective at governing and motivating his body, and that all three heads are butts. They're asshats if they're heads. And therefore you can't get anything done. The Senate wants to pat itself on his back, and the Gang of Eight, and we passed immigration reform, and the Congress is like, we're not so much, and that's why can't we, in these elected officials, and I know that there are people that elect people for the purpose of disrupting, and I in many cases don't argue the fact that it's broken, but insisting that it be broken and do nothing while we all languish and people starve, and there are people starving in America. It just doesn't make any sense in 2013, 2014 that should be where we're at. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
That we can't do anything. We can't do anything, period. For, again, up, down, that we just can't do anything. The president is not a strong. And they were talking about this. Clinton, while he was being indicted, while he was being impeached, had a 60% approval rating from the general public on his job.
Yeah.
And we can barely get Obama in the 40s. I think he's up to, I think it's 47% approved, 45% don't.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. And I have never seen
it to show you whether you have that, because in the second term they impeached him because he had no control of Congress.
Right.
In the case of Billy Jaff, but if you have a legislative plan and you make it happen, and I certainly didn't agree with everything Clinton did, something's going on. The warm and fuzzy that we feel about Bush is, you may have not liked what he was going to do, but he looked in the camera and said, I'm going to do this. And he did it.
Yep.
I no longer want a bully speech. Do something.
Yeah, let's
get somebody together politically and do something.
I seriously can't wait until this guy is gone. I find a lame duck president to be a problem anyway. Doesn't matter what
I'm seriously
power.
not excited when we've got guys like Weiner and the former governor of New York.
Yeah, I know.
Romney came above board again. We've got the guy down in Missouri that takes off with public funds and goes on an affair with his mistress in South America, but he's reelected. He's elected to public office. We're not looking for the best and brightest. We're looking for a bullshit artist. They'll do the job, take our money, and literally ream us.
Seems to be that way.
We're getting what we're looking for.
I don't know. I'm not even looking at who says they're going to do what now. It's way too early. It's just my constant disappointment in Obama. I mean, I've never been an Obama fan, but he's taken it to such a level that I watch the stuff he does, and it's so unpresidential. Let's take just one small entity. There we have this murder case in Florida, the Trayvon Martin situation with the Zimmerman thing, right? Well, if you remember when it first came out, Obama came out and said, oh, that poor black kid in Florida was murdered and this guy should be put away. And this is coming out of a president?
I don't know that I don't know that he said exactly as you described it, but when he makes the analogy that Trayvon Martin could have been him, that's personalizing this a great deal, and that, but that is that may be the pyrotechnic of the summer of 2013.
I don't know.
And then again, not.
I don't know. It will be interesting to see. I spent a lot of time listening to the court proceedings. I've had CNN on while I've been busy doing my work and listening to the different sides, and it's kind of interesting hearing the different talking heads off of CNN, which way they feel. And as of today's court situation, they think that the defense is won. But we'll find out. It's not closed out yet.
They're coming with much more credible witnesses.
Yeah,
I mean, although, and some of the people not providing the prosecution are asking some good questions.
Right.
And the question is, if you're in that judge's courtroom, do you get that through anyway? Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
a sorry, sad situation. It's just like the OJ trial, or all the many trials we have watched, and when the decision comes down, and you got to realize it's 6 white women.
Right.
That's the jury.
Yeah, I know. That's what they wanted, and it would be interesting. What do you think? Is there a possibility that if Zimmerman gets off, shall we say? I mean, they may go for a lesser charge, but are we going to see rioting in Florida?
Are we going to see rioting nationally? We could. I mean, Detroit's bankrupt, so that would just be an excuse to.
Well, maybe
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's bothering on so many levels. I think that George Zimmerman, as I do with Furman when he went over the wall, when George Zimmerman got out of the car to follow Trayvon Martin, and the person on the telephone said, "You don't need to do that."
Right. But we both agree that it was a dumb mistake for what he did. He made a mistake. There's no doubt about it. But the point still comes was he defending his life? He made the mistake, but he was in the situation. Did he shoot this guy for, because he thought he was going to die, because it's turning out now that this kid was actually a training in a boxing MMA type situation, or
no,
whatever it was. Yeah,
it's the reverse. The guy that Zimmerman was 3 days a week training in MMA.
Oh well, but Zimmerman, the guy who was training Zimmerman, said he didn't have any skills. That he was probably the worst fighter on the face of the earth.
That's I don't know.
I don't know.
I wasn't there.
I'm getting everything mixed up now. Anyway, I don't really care.
At the end of the day, I wasn't there. It's unfortunate the way it went on. I think Zimmerman probably did profile. He had a
Probably did. Yeah.
He had a weapon.
Yep.
He had an agenda. Now the question is, are these wrong things? You know, I'm the biggest bleeding heart liberal NAACP activist in the '60s that you're ever going to run into. Do people profile? I profile as a teacher.
Yeah.
You have to move your line someplace to start. Okay. The question is, how far are you going to go after that?
Well, yeah, it's human nature. One of my training sessions, it's one of the things that we do. It's instinctive. Now, if you listen to it or not, it's another situation. But you have the ability to judge and be aware of a situation when you're walking into it, whatever it may be. You may be walking on a street and you see somebody down the street, and you kind of go to the back of your mind, that guy's kind of hinky. Well, if that happens, you should listen to it and you should cross the street. Go the other way. Remove yourself from the situation. That's the way I teach it. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Put yourself out of harm's way. Listen
if you go looking for it, you'll find it.
That's right. If you're going to go looking for it, you're going to find it. And I don't care how bad you are, there's always somebody badder out there. And you need to just remove yourself from any of those situations. And I won't go any further because that's in my training situation. But that's what he should have done.
Which, if you call this weekend to get your CCW,
yeah.
Rob will cover that.
I will. I will be glad to tell you everything that you need to know to be safe with your firearm and to be able to carry it on your body.
Now,
hey,
I did that because we're in our last 4 minutes here.
Yeah, Jonathan gave me the sign.
A lot more excitement from me next week.
All right, we'll get more excitement for you next week. Actually, I'm going to take just the next minute or so and spill my guts a little bit about Old Guy Tech TV and News 44. We've had our 1 year anniversary, and like every startup under the sun, we went into it underfunded, and we're at that point where we're trying to figure out how far we're going to move forward with it. And because donations haven't been as nice as we were hoping, we're always hoping for donations and a few bucks here and there, because it wasn't cheap to put this together, and it isn't cheap to keep it running. All I can do is the 6 people that are watching is big borrow or steal a few bucks and throw it our way and hit that donation button, because
I'm going to have to pay to do TV.
Yeah, exactly. We may have to change the way things are done. We may have to shut down. We don't know exactly where we're at yet, but we're getting close to that point of making some decisions. So I'm begging those of you out there who watch the show or enjoy the show, pass it along. Let other people know that we're on. We're trying 4 o'clock hour. We're trying to find what that magic hour was. Last week when I did the show, 4 o'clock seeed to be the hot ticket. Today, not so much, but that's okay. That's the way it goes.
Me this week.
I got you this week. So, and I don't know. Maybe we need to start yelling at each other more or something. I don't know. But anyway, I want to thank everybody who takes the time to watch Old Guy Tech TV News 44. I want to thank John Manajastic, Jonathan Charney, Heather Charney for running the show and keeping me straight. And listen, everybody, we'll see you next Wednesday. And thank you very much. And have a good week.